All right. Good evening, everyone. Ali Safi here, March 13, 2025. S&P 500, we just got another high volume sell-off today, 80 million for SPY, which is S&P 500 ETF. Yesterday, it was kind of like a bounce. But as I said before, we are heading to this 56.66 and market rejected. So this is very, very important. If you remember, we were kind of like a bullish in this bounce, but market failed to hold and we are just getting back to the downside. So this means it's turning to resistance instead of support. However, we may see some kind of like a choppy consolidation to the downside, still 53.83 to 5400. That's the level that I'm looking at for a potential pivotal point for the market. So when I see this sell-off, I would say, especially when I see the title, um, everyone is kind of like a panic. Oh my God, another 10% to the downside. No, I don't think that's going to be 10% from this level, but we may see some kind of like a bounce furthermore, like in months of April and even May. But after that, we may see some kind of like a sell-off is continuing to the downside, potentially to 5,000 area or 100 ultimately by June, July this year. And that kind of be like the bottom of the year for 20% correction as I expected, or even 22% correction as I expected. So market has like a lot of potential to the downside, and we are still within this bullish momentum. So don't get me wrong, even with 20% correction, even 22% correction, I know ultimately people are talking, hey, Ali, what are you talking about? 20% means bear market. So if you count this as a bear market, I don't. If you're just relying on the number, like a 20% is going to be bear market, I don't. Bear market means something like 2008, something like 2001, 2002, when we are heading to multi-years actually downside or secular bear market. That's what I say, bear market. Based on the 20% or based on the percentage, we can't rely on the numbers just because number can easily change to the upside, like COVID crash actually happened. But anyway, so S&P 500 just got a sell-off today, and even I would say the lots of names are getting close to the pivotal point, but still we are have another potential 5% correction to the downside, and that would be a very, very obvious in MDY, which is S&P 500 mid cap index. And this is very, very interesting. So this is a weekly chart for MDY, and you can just find it out, the chart here, MDY. And you see that we have like A, B, and then C wave is coming down very sharply to important, kind of like a getting close to important weekly demand area. And this weekly demand area is very, very important just because we head into new all-time high after this. So if I want to just formulate this one for a potential bottoming formation, we should just see something like this. So still we can just get further lower to the downside, potentially by tomorrow or end of next week. We may see some kind of like another downside, but that would be kind of like coming to my window as like a March 17 to March 22nd. As I said, it's going to be a cycle period for a bottom here or reversal. So we may see some kind of like a downtick for SPY and also S&P 500, even Nasdaq, particularly MDY to the downside to hit this bottoming formation here around this 480 to 514. So that's the area that I'm looking at, and that is very, very important. By the way, folks, if you just zoom back here, whenever we got below this SMA 20 and 50 on a weekly chart on MDY, we are heading into consolidation or kind of like a correction or even bear market. Like something like COVID crash, we just sliding through to the downside very sharply. And the scenario that we are dealing with is very, very similar with the scale of the speed of the sell-off. We can see that it's pretty close to the COVID crash. But when we see some like a higher highs, it's kind of like a resembling this area, which is gonna be prior 2022 top. And when market is just heading down for a 9 months corrective or kind of like a choppiness to the downside. So we may see something like this, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen at the same scale, like at the timing wise, at the same scale like 2022. We may see some kind of like a sharp bounce and then getting back to the downside and then pulling out to potential new all-time high. Still, I'm looking for new all-time high this year. I think generally market is going to be positive this year, and this is going to be buying opportunity. But I know that it's pretty sharp. Everyone tries to catch the bottom, and it is very, very tricky, especially at this environment, to catch the bottom. There are some levels that you can nibble in, but catching the bottoms is very, very hard. Moving on to Nasdaq, which is down tick today as well. So just got back to 2 days ago low here, March 11th, and still looking for more downside in Nasdaq potentially to 18,300 to 18,900, which is coming along with this pivotal point here, September low, and that would be very, very sharp correction. And even with this sharp correction, we may see a tradable rally. I would say 20,800. That's going to be the top of this rally if we get rally. And after that, we can see another potential, a bigger wave to the downside. And that would fulfill the ultimate scenario for June bottom, June, July, August bottom. And then we can see some kind of lucky getting back to the upside if we see the C wave. If we don't, it's all about this level. So 20,800, that's the decisive moment for the market. If we get a reversal, that would be a C wave. If we don't, if we get back to the upside, that would be a V-shaped recovery all the way to new all-time high. So still, we are not at the bottom. So that's very, very important. The next chapter for us is going to be how we can see this market reversal. Potentially, as I said, next week is going to be very, very important, March 17th to March 22nd. That's the equinox actually. And don't undermine the power of equinox, just because here is the COVID crash and here's the bottom, March 23rd of 2020, the moment of equinox. Market just formed the bottom. March 2009 was the bottom of the Great Recession bottom. And March is very, very pivotal point. So if you just go back and look up the history of the stock market, always March and September and sometimes October are kind of like a pivotal points for the market. All right, moving on to Dow Jones, which just heading down as well. So this is a weekly chart. Obviously, we got below this important November pivot and also this January pivot, which is very, very important just because these two pivots are very, very important. We got this double top formation and double top initiate the downside move. This means we may see some kind of like a bounce, but that would be a bounce with the Dow Jones Industrial, and we can head lower to 38,000 area. Potentially by months of June, July, we can see some kind of like the bottoming formation. Ultimately, if I'm right, so we may see some kind of like a 20% correction for S&P 500. Moving on to gold, which was kind of like a positive today, not kind of actually, I'm kidding. So got into new all-time high, pretty fantastic momentum for gold. We are pretty close to 3,000 area. So gold miners as well, so they're just heading higher. But this is a Maribuzo candle, and this is sign of the exhaustion. So if we see even a momentum just heading to the upside, just be careful, folks, just because gold market can head down, and that would be kind of like a sharp heading down potentially to this pivot. But right now, we are just saying that the gold market is poised its way for 3,000 area, which is going to be psychological level. Look at the silver. Silver was kind of like a leading to the upside in this move, not price-wise, because price-wise, obviously, silver is far away from its all-time high. But I would say 34 to 35 dollars, that's going to be important level. If we get above this, $44 for silver is coming, and I believe that metals are gonna shiny this year. Look at the copper here. Copper had a fantastic move, pretty close, and copper can go higher. Copper can go a lot higher to new all-time high. So we'll see how it goes. Crude just had a negative day today, but still forming kind of like the bottoming formation in this area. We need to see crude is getting back above 74. As long as it is below 74, we shouldn't just give any bullish case to copper. Moving on to individual names, starting with Bitcoin, Bitcoin reversing to the downside. And I don't think that's going to be a higher low. I think this is going to be a lower high here, and Bitcoin can still go down to 72,000. If it goes to 72,000, we are going to just see how it's going to react to this pivotal point. And if it reverses to the upside, that would be the end of the correction. If it's not, we can go further down to 62,000. And still, there is no sign of the reversal. I would say Bitcoin and also Ethereum, they have kind of like a hard time down the road, especially for the next few months. Alt season is going to be different, but Bitcoin is kind of like a lagging right now. Ethereum just heading down today, still struggling to this 1600 to 17, 1800 demand area, which is demand area on a weekly basis. And as you see here, this demand for a nice rally to the upside. And we got back into this area. For those ones who wants to invest in Ethereum, this is good level. This is not a bad level for long-term investors. For traders, you can put a stop loss here and you can just get in. But ultimately, we are looking for a reversal to just get a safe trade as well. Bond yield just heading back to the downside today. Still, the fear of recession is here around there, and people are just panicking. When there is a fear of recession, bond yield is heading down. Treasury is supposed to go up. As it goes up today, fantastic move, and Treasury just having a nice kind of like a higher low here, and this is very, very nice. This is forming a bull flag. And if this bull flag triggers to the upside, we can see 94, 93, and then getting back to the upside to 103 to 105. So we'll see how it goes with Treasury. But Treasury, fantastic move today. Moving on to VIX, VIX just getting up today, but not that a strong movement. This means VIX is topped. I would say VIX is topped and stock market potentially is getting close to its bottom. But right now, we don't see the final confirmation from price action, but we are waiting for that one. Dixie just getting back to the upside, but sharp rejection at 104. I believe that any rally could be sell to $100 for Dixie. Apple just heading down, fantastically moving lower. And I would say 191 to 198, that would be the area that I'm just deploying money into Apple because I believe that this is the area that everyone needs to keep an eye. Here's the pivotal point, fantastic demand area. So for those ones who want to invest in Apple, this is the level 191 to 198. That could be a good area for Apple. Moving on to Amazon. Amazon just forming a final bearish consolidation for potential sharp sell-off to 180 to 184, which is coming to this trend line, and that's going to be a strong trend line for Amazon. Meta, the same pattern here, sharp reversal to the downside, 560 to 555. That would be the scenario. Moving on to Microsoft, still holding up this demand area because this is a weekly demand area, 362 to 384. That's the weekly demand area and good time for investors to buy back. Google is down today, and I believe that this is kind of like just a hiccup in this demand area. We may see some kind of like a sharp sell-off to this area. That's not guaranteed, but that is a fantastic level for Google. If it goes to 140 to 146, that's going to be a great buying opportunity. Netflix is down today after just a couple days rally. We may see some kind of like $800 Netflix down the road. Tesla heading back down, but nicely just rejected below here. I believe that Tesla is slightly getting better. So because it's already capitulated and it needs to confirm itself bullish momentum above 250 at the first step. Semiconductor index just getting back to the upside after hours. Today, semi just sold off sharply, but it was not that bad compared to the other names. SOX, the same pattern here, 195 close. Taiwan Semiconductor getting back to the downside. AMD just getting back below 100 level, still struggling with this 90 to $98. Nvidia just got back down, but after hours, just getting to the positive territory nicely. Texas Instrument as well, just getting back to the downside, but getting to the upside again after hours. And Lam Research just getting back to the upside after hours as well. So all semis actually just getting back to the upside, bouncing back up nicely. XLF, the same scenario here. After hours, lots of stocks just getting back to the upside. Seems like today price action was just a shakeout. KBE just going down today, KRE going down today, and forming a kind of like a sharp sell-off. JP Morgan is pretty close to this trend line around 224. Goldman Sachs is down here and forming a bearish consolidation. Bank of America, the same pattern here, rejection from 39, but again, sellers are kind of like a taking control. Wells Fargo just getting back to the downside after 2 days bounce. And GDX, which is gold miners, fantastic move, 3%. All metal miners, actually, they were shiny today. Great move for them. GDXJ pretty close to this pivotal point. And if it getting above this, that would be kind of like a fantastic signal. You can see that here's the momentum from this one. So we just got a nice breakthrough today above this neckline here. And the only reason that we can see kind of like a resistance here is this pivot around 55. So if it goes above this, I would say GDXJ can head to this area, which is going to be there are lots of resistance here, but again, to $60, that would be the way that we can see that. Moving on to AEM, hitting new all-time high, new closing all-time high today. Great move for AEM and Newmont, just surging to the upside, 5%, I believe. Newmont just getting back to the upside and potentially can go higher to $50. Gold Barrick, great move today. Sharp sell-off at the top 19, but again, so the exhaustion candle in gold is kind of like a scary. If I were gold holders, I would kind of like consider as a like a short-term trader sell, but long-term still bullish. XLE after today downside, just getting back to the upside after hours. Exxon, the same pattern here, very wacky day, 108, and Chevron close positive today, great move, 153. All right, folks, I believe I covered everything. If you like this video, please smash the like button, subscribe to our channel. Have a good one. See you on the chart. Bye-bye.